Alexandria situation. We had the young woman in Chicago that was killed.
But
All
stop
these
there.
things.
Let's go back to that because Ray Rice situation, Janay Rice, big celebrity, NFL, lot of play. Where was these organizations when Marisa Alexander, if you don't know, that's the young lady in Florida that was sentenced to 60 years in jail for shooting a gun in her own house, not at someone, up in the ceiling to threaten her husband to get out of her house. He had broken into her house for the second time. He was a domestic situation
There's
all the
a mile
time.
long of him whipping her tail.
Whipping her tail. And she just shot up in the air. Nobody else in the house, shot up in the air. And he convinced the police that his children was endangered. And you might have not even heard about this story because unfortunately it happened at the same time of the Trayvon Martin situation. And so that got little airtime. Meanwhile, they turned around, they let her out of jail only to now rearrest her and try to retry her for the same thing. Where are those women organizations speaking up for her?
NAACP, any of these organizations out there, we're supposed to be out there protecting. And that's where the hypocrisy, again, we need to stop picking and choosing, because the issue with that was, of course, the stand your ground, and not many people want to challenge it because the rule itself is vague. Even when you follow it to the T, it still doesn't work for you. Right. It doesn't work for us. Okay. Right. Now, when it comes to the situation here, because it's clearly cut, the man hit the woman. Okay, regardless of whatever happened before. Now, let me ask you this: how much of violence would it have been? And I'm gonna put it out there: if this was a Caucasian man or an Asian man or what have you, not as much. Put an example: Ben Roethlisberger. He got 4 or 5 games, something to that effect, for twice now raping women. Now, granted, he cleaned up his image. He got married, he got a kid, all these other different things.
But the stain was still there.
But he got clear. But he still, other than this situation, because it happened, was his situation muddied or soiled as much over and over and over again as with the other black players? No. So it's not only just that, it's just the issue of that we need to stop, regardless of color, let's stop focusing on color and the money, focus on the issue that people need help, both men and women, and things of that nature. Because now, again, like you mentioned before, if you sat here and kept slapping me around and things of that nature, now it's up to the onset of me to walk away or hold your hands and try until I get away, that type of thing. If I turn back and hit you, now, would I have justification? Yes. But still at the same time, but to the letter of law, no.
No. And that's and that was something that we talked about.
Yeah, you have no weapon in front of your hand. And even then, we've seen it where a woman comes up there, you sitting, I'm mad at you, come up there with a gun and knife, he smacks it out of her hand and pushes her away. Who got the charge?
Get arrested. And we talked about this earlier when we said, we think about it, Solange kicked Jay-Z's tail in the elevator, and she's a hero.
Because a lot of that is also other factors, and not a lot of people are a fan of Jay-Z. Outside the
regardless if rapper. You're a fan, right is right and wrong is wrong.
I still think that was just set up just to make money and sell tickets for a tour. I'm sorry.
We talked about that too. It's like, what is that, like the black and blue tour?
I think that's pretty much because it wasn't selling. They were trying to hype up the divorce.
And then they got it. I want to share some more stats with you. It says 1 in 4 women will experience domestic abuse. The highest age group for domestic abuse is 20 to 24-year-old. On an average, a woman will leave and return to an abusive relationship at minimal of 7 times before she leaves for good.
Sometimes they don't make it, they dead.
Right. Most domestic violent incidents are never reported. Facts and statistics show that men who witness parents in a domestic violence situation are more than likely to grow up to be abusers themselves. Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women. Based on reports from 10 countries, between 55% and 95% of women who have been physically abused by their partner had never contacted any governmental organization, shelter, or police for help.
How many of them actually trust them?
Right.
We honestly see them involved in the community and things of that nature, but how many times we'll see it where they'll turn around and take some. For example, if there's a situation in the home, okay, husband got counseling, she's got counseling, but then now they took the child
Right.
out of the home and said it's a bad situation,
It's not a safe
place, but
environment.
then it wasn't. The situation happened, and they worked it out, and there was nothing going on with the child.
Okay.
I'd rather not that I want a child to see something happen, but it's not how you necessarily fall, but it's how you get up. Because if one of the beautiful things I saw a lot of times in my life is that how people, older couples, work things out together and things, and there's that unity. Now, some relationships in the past should have broken up. We've seen it in many families and cultures around, but people will stay. And then they don't know where to go because they lost. And it gives this image that the woman needs the direction from the man. And honestly, we all have it within ourselves to find ourselves and get that direction as long as we trust the good man upstairs.
And I wanted to mention that the stats that I shared with you is from the National Domestic Violence website. So these are not things that I fabricated. Again, 915-5202. If you have a question or a comment, or if you're someone that's out there, we do have hotline numbers available and resources, because we cannot open up a can of worms like this and talk about it without providing you with the information of where you can go, or where you can go get someone who you love help, whether it be man, woman, or child. I want to switch gears for a little bit, because one of the things that I wanted to talk